Okay. How's it sound? Okay. Oh, good. Okay. Get paranoid about the audio these days. Sorry. Oh man. Let's do stream stuff. Okay. Today, let's get this silly control underway. I'll be honest. Sorry. Got something on my hands that's irritating me. I'll be honest. I don't enjoy building these components because they feel like a struggle. They feel like it's a lot of work for very little return. But I don't have the option of pulling in an external library at this point. Um, I mean, I could. I could look at Sync Fusion. It would be a viable option, I suppose. View demos. Chips. I mean, choice chips, full chips, but we'd still have to inputs. This is nicer than Daisy UI, but you have to pay. So Sync Fusion, unless they've changed their good morning, by the way, Doctor. Sorry, unless they've changed their licensing model, they have a once you earn $1 million sort of license, community license. Companies and individuals with less than 1 million USD in annual gross. This I like. This is the best of any control company that I've seen. Right. I love this idea. Um, you know, it's a really good model. You invest in the controls, and they have it for all sorts of platforms as well. They have it's not just Angular, right? They have Blazor controls, they have Flutter, React, so they have a lot of things. So you sign in and you have a license, and you have the license key added there, and it's I, I mean, if those other controls get out in the wild, the same thing happens, right? They don't have control over how far it goes. Um, But yeah, Sync Fusion, I think is a good licensing model, and most of those libraries, kind of like if you they're just behind a paywall. But it's a good control set. I use their Sync Fusion controls for my current game tracking library, right? So this would be an option. My only reservation with this is I still have to develop. That's badges. That's not. I still have to develop the control, right? I still, just because I get those things doesn't mean anything. The ones that paywall devs, yeah. So I might as well just invest the time in doing this right now, and then later on, maybe it's a different thing. So what I'll need to do to start with is I need to kind of create a combo control as such, where this isn't just an input, it's a combo box that will allow text to be entered. So let's go here, and then this is going to get messy because this is a form control of its own. So I'm not quite sure how I nest a form control in a form control. I realized with my website, all my pages are too generic. That font has gone tiny again. They all have the exact same layout. Huh. I like using StreamerBot. The font size resets way too quick. My old eyes can't keep up. Save. Not sure if you do the same thing. It's easy to do, especially since I never put thought into UI UX. Well, are they all the exact same layout? I'm not sure if you do the same thing. It's easy to do, especially since. You mean in terms of like how I like put things together? They just all look the same. Let's have a look. That is awesome. This looks like House the Zombie. Oh dear. Prototypes. Nice. So all the layouts are the same for the main page blog. Nice. So the generic top, yeah. I think that's okay though. Here's a list. I think it depends on what you're doing. I mean, in this case, it kind of works, right? It's like Project Graveyard. Then these are the panels to look at. Carter's, like, to me, I'd rather click on that to navigate to that. Like Prototypes takes you right there. blog Carter's recipes. I get the menu thing, but I'd rather be taken to the page and navigate, to be honest, than I would even the drop down, especially that one, gets a little bit hard. I like the idea though. I love the layout. It's very clean. I like this. It's readable. This font is a little hard, but it's still not illegible. Now you're making me hungry. I assume the paging is work in progress. Yeah, that font. Yeah, especially for what you're doing here, right? Again, if you use this sort of font in this app, that ain't gonna work, right? um, this reminds me of. I don't know if this looks the same still. Like they have very different layouts, right? But hero panels, items, right? I mean that's the list of menus basically. Yeah, but they're not. You're presenting similar content, right? So you're presenting things that actually fit like news, and they follow the exact same format you do, essentially, right? I mean, two big panels. These are just larger versions of them, right? They're promoting the latest ones, but that's the sort of content you're providing. Though. You're not providing the Pirate Emporium. You're not providing community or my pirate, right? So, but that style reminds me of that, and I like the readability. What else is it? There's another site that looks like this. That's actually it's a learning site. Oh, I think it is. I think it's really clear. It's really nice and easy to read. There was what was it called? There was a site. Was it Code Academy? There was a person. No, not that one for certain. There's someone who created. I think they might have got bought up by Pluralsight in the end. But there was a site that did Rails tutorials, and it looked really cool like this. Like I like this. I like how clean it is. I like the contrasting colors. I like how this menu really works for me. I like this. Um, it's very clear. It's very to the point. There's no big flashy header page or anything. So yeah. The only thing I don't like is that feels like I should be able to click that. But that might be me, right? But for what you're doing, you're delivering content that fits into articles. Um, so you know it works. So that's cool. Yeah, it does look like House the Zombie, doesn't it? Sorry. But even that, that's readable. They pop really well. Um, But nice work. Yeah, I have no criticisms for this. No real criticisms. There's now. So this just links. These link to GitHub. These link to GitHub. These blog articles. They, I assume, are going to link to content. So, yeah, that's the only other. Oh, nice. Pills or badges. And it doesn't switch. Oh. Okay. But nice. I mean, yeah. Now, is this based off a template, or did you build this all yourself? Is this all off your own head? Daisy UI. Ah, I haven't seen Daisy UI before. But it's components, right? That's what Tailwind mainly revolves around, and it's not even coding and fonts are the most important thing, really, and layout. Yeah, yeah. I think considering how long I'm going to spend in this, actually making focusing on a dark mode version might actually be better for the stream. But it'll be the problem is with this sort of content is it doesn't work very well in dark mode. Thorolf, I'm good. How are you? Yeah, yeah. Putting light dark mode in is a lot of effort, but a dark mode might be easy for the stream to see, but this sort of content doesn't work very well when it's on when it's in dark mode either. It takes a lot of work to get because you're looking at a lot of data. Here you're focused on a thing, and you might read something. Here you're focused on all sorts of things all over the screen, so controlling that is difficult. Yeah. How have you been, Thorolf? I'm very good. Enjoying my day off today. Thought I'd stop by before leaving to visit my sister. Nice. Well, appreciate that. You going rock climbing or climbing or whatever you're doing? I think you were saying that in the Seto stream the other day, right? Nice. Nice. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing that, Dota. I like it. I think you've done a fantastic job with that one. Well, what I was saying about components. So, even the Tailwind UI stuff that I use. So right now, right, most of it is here's a bunch of styles of how to make this component look this way, but you don't really get functionality. It's been a while since I stopped by due to work, but what is Project Liquid Sky? Is it the drink water project? No, and I didn't even make the link between the two things. This is the Agile Platform stuff. Project Liquid Sky is the kind of little name I put on it, and technically this came first. Water Drink Water was after, but yeah, this is the Agile Platform. So this is what it currently looks like. We got a lot more moving parts, and right now I'm working on adding yeah, there's trap came in the other day and he's like, you know, that was the name of a movie in the 80s. It's like, I did not know that. But yeah, so right now I'm kind of working on tags. So trying to put in this tag input control to I do like the reload on Angular works really well. I mean, it refreshes, it resets every time. It would be better if it loaded in place, but it works consistently. It's very robust. So here, you know, like project number 1, you know, so I'm working on building this control to attach labels to the planning item. But I need to pull the projects list. Because these would be the labels. So, yeah. Okay. So I can't have that. Also, I'm going to have to put the X on there, aren't I? So yeah, Daisy UI. Do they have a badge? Again, it's less a professional feel than the one you were looking at. Yeah, so Tailwind UI is, I think it's from the actual creators of Tailwind. The problem is it's expensive. And they do update it. It's not like it's gonna. They deprecate things. They introduce new things. So as a start, they do have entire templates as well to build off of. The other one, Syncfusion. Yeah, Syncfusion. Syncfusion controls would be another option here. For this particular use case, I'd still have to build the control though, so it wouldn't really help me. So they do have chips, but they don't have a control for adding the chips in. So I'd still have to add them. All I get is the behavior of removing the chips, so I'd still have to build this component. Oh no, my mortal enemy, front end. Yeah. Yeah. It's it's a challenge for certain. I think this is where I lose most of my energy as well, right? When I'm doing the back end stuff, when I'm moving data around, when I'm publishing information, etc., I find it really energizing and rewarding to get that data flowing through the system. When I get stuck on something like this where I've got to do it, I mean, I could, for the functionality I need right now, I could avoid doing the drop down, just allow this to accept tags and work on saving these, right? Because at the end of the day, I don't actually want these to, how they get in there does not matter. These are just a set of tags that could be attached to this planning item so you can kind of filter it, right? So I could work on those components. And maybe I should do that and kind of tinker when I get around to it, because it's not going to change the world. And I think most, I mean, with back-end stuff, right? You work with an object. You don't need any visualization. You don't need any magic. You just need, here's some data. Here's a technology I'm using to transfer that data or to save that data or whatever. So it's a little simpler. You don't have to worry about, do the properties look really good? Are they readable to everybody? Well, I'm saying that out loud. I'm like, well, you should make sure they're understandable, and you should. So there are certain rules, but then the rules are not that plentiful, right? We don't have, you know, someone has, you know, where you put a thing on a screen can influence how someone reads it or understands it. You can actually change someone's understanding of the functionality of an application just by moving a button left or right. You can change their understanding of what's possible. Like this is not a good behavior, right? I don't show that you can navigate, but when you click on it, you navigate, right? That's a terrible behavior because it's not intuitive. And you might think, oh, let me just select that. Okay, it works today. But if you accidentally click it, it doesn't work. It navigates in. So it's frustrating behavior. So you've got to think about all those little things, not to mention color combinations, accessibility. There's so many different things to take in on the front end that it becomes overwhelming. And good UI, you know when you're in a good UI because you're not thinking about it. And there's nothing more rewarding, by the way, than when you put something in front of someone and they just get it. Without any prompting, without any assistance, they know what to do. I realized later the walk buttons on traffic lights are totally unnecessary. You mean the buttons you press to walk? If it's your turn to walk, they could just show walk now. Well, that goes back to, so now most lights are kind of traffic flow led, right? If it's busy, they will leave a light open for longer, etc. The walk button is to try and intercept that and say, hey, we need to change the light anyway. Yeah, it's to interrupt the cycle, because if the traffic's flowing, so there's no sensor to tell them there's a pedestrian there, right? There's a sensor on the traffic to say, hey, do I see a car? So they go on a default cycle, I would imagine, from what I've understood. But also, if they have monitors to say there's no car sat at the line, then keep traffic flowing in the other direction, right? So if it's busier one way, then it's gonna give that more priority to try and keep traffic flowing. So the walk button would intercept the process, right? So even if the traffic's busy, a pedestrian pressing the walk button will trigger that. Yeah. I've also seen traffic lights just sit on red on all directions, so it can change faster when a car approaches. Yeah. I think there's a lot of changes have happened in traffic systems with the technology changes. Anyhow, surprising UX decisions on traffic lights, which seems so simple. Yeah, absolutely. You have to think about how a user interacts with it. So one of my arguments, and I mean, we're in thorough UI UX discussion here, right? One of my arguments for something like this is this is a system that should be simple to use. It should be clear what actions you can take, but it's not an everyone system, right? There's some training required. It's a bit of an expert system. I always debate the need for super simple UI. Like the last place I worked at, we developed software that was required it was internal software, and it captured information, right? So the argument was, hey, we need to make it really intuitive how they do that. And I wonder if the planning portion is your aha more so than the more traditional sprint stuff. Maybe. And as someone who's worked on tools for experts, I can say for sure experts don't always make for expert users. True. But so the point what I was trying to say was, like, yes, the UI should be intuitive to some extent, but only as far as the person should understand what they're going to do, right? So if you're coming in here for the first time, right? Now this system, this would be new to someone using Jira because they're not used to this concept, right? But the idea would be, you introduce the concept of planning items, you understand planning items have requirements can be promoted to stories, etc. You go through that entire flow. Then given that training, that understanding, it should be simple for them to add a planning item and add requirements without much prompting, right? But it's still a bit of an expert system. If you're building a site that is for everyone to go to and do things with, if you're building Amazon, you have to rely upon more user prompting, and you have to rely upon putting things in places where people can figure it out so that they can get through your site without asking for help. And it's a lot of experience and a lot of tools go into understanding that. So ultimately, maybe I put something in like what's it called? Oh, I can't remember the name of the tool now. But basically, it would hotspot. It would show people. It would show me. And if I go to what's it called? I can't remember the name of the tool that I use. I really like those. Maybe if it's opt-in, I know what we're talking about. But it is a good practice if you're starting out. No, not the tutorial. The tutorial stuff is an option, right? That sort of stuff is an option where you say, okay, hey, it's your first time using it. Look at this button. Look at that button. Look at that button. But if you're confident that you know what you're doing, yeah. So I think that making the tutorial default is a problem. But I'm trying to think of mobbing. That's the one. So mobbing has defaulted to. Oh, my system's in light mode. That's why. So mobbing, they collect sites and they analyze them and they do all sorts of stuff, right? So you can compare. Oh, what do I want to see? But you can actually go and look at screens in here. And I believe, where did he do it? Flows. Here we go. Flows. So they have, well, it's not hotspots exactly that I'm thinking of. But basically, there's a UI analysis thing where it will tell you where people actually. One advancement of that is where they look, but also where they click. So when they click on something, so you might be able to see, hey, they went into the screen and they clicked this and this and this and this. Mobbin, Mobbin. There is some free stuff. I paid the license for it just to get access. So if you ever want to see more, let me know. But they give you they give you the workflows on a lot of sites. You can compare different sites, different. So onboarding, what does onboarding look like at these different sites? So you can actually see what do you like about them, what don't you like about them, etc. So it's a really good tool. There's a YouTuber, Chris. I am terrible with names these days. He develops Ellie. He develops this. So he develops Ellie, and he does YouTube stuff, and he actually uses mobbing to kind of have a look and say, well, I kind of like that, I don't like this. So he kind of got me onto that. I need to catch up on his videos. But it does give you a good insight into how other sites build things, so you can kind of review. And they have a whole ton of apps in the full version. I think you have access to like 3 or 4 in the free access, but it gives you a good taster of what's possible, right? And absolute variety, and they add to it all the time, and they scrape the sites, and they actually will give you. I think I saw it, but basically you can get hot zones where you can see, okay, where are people clicking, right? What are people looking at? Here you go. So if I'm looking for tags and chips, there you go. So here's different ways people do this. Sana, perplexity. So you can filter it, and I can say, Oh no, I can't in this one. Depends on which mode you're in, but you can actually kind of filter it down to the site as well, so the category of site. Coda, peer list. Notion, here we go. Notion's probably a good one. So there, they give you the constant typing version of it. And that actually might work better for me, to be honest. Rather than having the labels sat below, it might be better to just be able to type it and fill it in, right? So I can do, project 1, project 2. That style's probably cleaner. Ready to grocery store? Good luck, all. Dota, thank you very much. Thanks for sharing the site with me. That was a good to talk about. I enjoyed that. And thank you. I'll see you later. So, I'm scared of doing this anyway. I'm scared of this control because it's a lot to take in. So let's make it harder, is what I just said, essentially. Because I don't have a control, right? I don't have Ionic is not going to help me. This Syncfusion doesn't have the component. They have the chips, but that's just the chips, right? But I think it's probably worthwhile spending some time building this, because I can definitely see a need for it in the future. If you're new to the stream, you're more than welcome to ask any questions. I'm always open to discussion about this stuff. I am constantly trying to learn more, so this might be a little bit of an adventure. Combo boxes. So I kind of want a combo box with the badges, I think. Have you worked on UI for desktop applications before? Not recent. I have, yes, but not recently. I primarily did stuff with things like Windows Forms, WinForms, a little bit of XAML stuff, WPF. Sometimes like desktop development is a little easier because they kind of build layout controls into things, whereas with CSS and HTML you're on your own every time you build it. Yeah, Windows Forms was fun. It's been a long time since I did any WinForms stuff though. Considering my game tracking stuff, building it as a local application probably makes more sense than building it as a web application. It'd be better to have a web view than it would to have a web app to collect. Because things like barcode scanning and, updating the data don't really need web. Although getting into Java Swing and manually drawing pixels to make UI components was weird. No. I've actually often thought about trying to pick up Java a little bit and see if I could build something with Java just to understand the true differences between the languages. WPF and C#, yeah. But yeah, I don't have that brain power. I'm trying to think about what I need to do here. So I think I've got two options. Option one is proceed with this in its current form, right? you'd end up missing link for sure. I think I'd miss a lot of things. Yeah. So yeah, I've got two options here. First option is proceed with this as it stands. Get the data saving, because the actual control matters not a jot. So spend no more time figuring this out. Worry about this later. Ultimately, it should pull from projects, but it doesn't need to do that right this second. I can tag it in whatever way I want, because the focus is to get to the point where I can go here and filter by distinct tags, right? So the project would just be one of them. From a productivity perspective, that makes the most sense, right? Because I move forward with the design, but I don't get bogged down in the implementation. However, if I don't do that, then it's going to be hard to visualize for anyone coming in to look at this to understand what it actually does. So, yeah. The two languages are very similar in my mind. Maybe C# frameworks are a little nicer. Granted, I haven't worked much with modern Java frameworks. I mean, people are very productive in Java. There's a lot of software built on Java still. And if I picked up Java, it would only just to understand the subtle differences between the two, or not so subtle maybe, and understand why someone might struggle going to C#, etc. I think that can definitely aid when you understand another language and you can transition back into C#. I think it definitely aids in educating people or guiding people on what to learn and how to learn. Okay, so I think in the name of practicality on stream, best thing I can do here, form group reset. Okay, so that's that. That's that. Okay. So this is going to be an interesting one. Public. Attributes. Tags. Labels. Attributes. Attributes seems wrong. They're not attributes. They're tags, or even tags might be the wrong name there. What are they? So ultimately, you're going to be able to select from a list of available values. You can also freestyle them. They're grouping the tags, attributes. Unless I just make it all about the projects, and that's the projects tag. That's the problem. So what I'm trying to think about is, am I trying to do too much or too little? What I want to do, what the particular use case right now is I need to be able to say, okay, well, this planning item is tenant management and ticketing related, or this is planning and tenant management related, right? That's my only focus right this second. However, being able to group and label things customized is a nicer feature. So that's why I'm thinking of these more as free text. So rather than store the IDs of the projects, I'd store just the text that's on them. The challenge to that would be if I make it say projects and I store them as free text, then I have an issue in that I have to then update the labels as well. So if the project changes, the label changes, which becomes difficult if I'm storing everything as free text. The more I think about it, the languages themselves do have some significant differences, like Java's crazy generics type, irregular. Yeah, I mean, they've kept in step pretty well. I mean, I do look at Java from time to time. There are differences for certain, but that's a difference in opinion on how best to achieve something, or the framework has made it difficult to put something in. I think generics was one of those instances where it just didn't work quite as well. C# kind of had generics very early on, whereas Java was more mature when generics became a thing. So a lot harder to turn the ship, right? When C# came around, Java was years old already. Yeah. Yeah, Java came from 1995. Java, you often have to pass the type as a parameter during the constructor because it forgets about the yeah. So Java appeared in 1995. James Gosling. C# list question mark is possible, which is cool. C# didn't obviously start development in the late 90s, so several years after Java come around. And by the time .NET 2 came around, I think generics were introduced in .NET 2. Afternoon, can't stay for long. No worries, Rambling Geek. Good afternoon. Hope you're well. So yeah, generics came around in .NET 2. .NET framework. .NET framework version history. So, .NET 2 was 10 years after Java was released. So generics introduced here in C#, right? So 10 years after Java released, and only 3 years after .NET 1 released. So, the languages have stayed in step. Java and C#, they both achieve a lot. Will Airways, thank you very much for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome in. Okay, so I'm debating how much effort I put into this control, or what this control really should represent at this point. If I make it about the projects, and talking about usability, right? This is a very key item of usability, right? It's easy to just throw something together here, but how I use this, how I want to use this, how I think it should be used, and what I'm actually achieving, So the ultimate goal is to be able to filter planning items by the projects that you care about, or filter projects is ultimately the goal here. So planning items are pieces of work that you are planning to do, right? They are from the product team, not from the developers, the product team. So these planning items could actually be many pieces of work. If you're new to the stream, you're more than welcome to ask questions. I'm open to opinions and thoughts on what I'm doing. I'm happy to walk through what I'm doing to any level. Do not feel that you need to avoid distracting me in any way. This is one of the 2 projects I work on stream, potentially 3. Yeah, so planning item has requirements. A planning item could span multiple projects, and again, the idea here is the avoiding the product manager responsible for building this planning item from attaching any specific piece to the project. The developers are the ones that are going to say, yep, that actually belongs in this project, that belongs in this project, that's fine. And then when they create stories, that will produce the right stories in the right projects. So for this perspective, it's just a filtering mechanism. So do I, allow free text, right? So that they can organize things however they want? Or do I make this about projects to start with, and this allows you to filter by projects as one of the things? And then tags itself is a separate thing where you can just add attributes. Kind of tempted to say this backtracks again a little bit. And again, all I'm doing is I'm thinking through this design. I do have some ideas, but these are the nuances of those ideas, right? These are, I'm thinking bigger picture, and now I'm in the weeds a little bit. So do I make this projects? So initially this was attached to a project. All right. However, attaching it to a project is wrong because it just doesn't. It shouldn't be the product manager that dictates that this planning item. The planning item itself isn't going to be attached to the project. The stories that are created will be attached to the projects. Come on. So I'm kind of talking myself through this as far as I think that what I want to do is attach planning items to projects. So this control is not actually the right one. So before I go digging too deep, let's remove that a second. Now, I don't think this supports multi-select. So I need a multi-select version of this component. Component, combo, box, select. I think I'd be better at remembering to do that. So this is going to look almost identical to this. And the code, I'm going to literally I need to go get ready. Thanks for hanging out, and don't let Java erasure you. Thorough, have a great day. Have a lot of fun, and enjoy the climbing and the hanging out with your family as well. That's also good. Yeah, I'll try. Okay. What? You need to go away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take everything from in here. I'm going to use this as a basis and build on. Otherwise, I'm going to end up with jumping back and forth, and I don't like that. Right. So we need to do influence this. Oh, why aren't these cameras working today? So I need this to be a form control, right? So with Angular, you can use the form control to to kind of group your components and then interact with the form and all sorts, and put validators and stuff on. So it's a very useful thing. So this is allowing me to create my own form controls. Combo multi-select component. Namespacing and stuff I don't really care about right this second. We'll remove that for now. The chips component can just stay there. Duplicated code fragment. Did I copy it twice or? Oh, it knows that exists in the control. It's trying to inherit from it. Okay. So the biggest difference to this one is this needs to have many values selected. Selected is an array. Right, and then when this selected if so, let's get the first part working, and then I'll worry about the rest. This selected equals array. That's the clear. That's not going to work right this second, but we'll. This items. Okay. So let's get this control in there. App, combo bots, multi-select. Playfield equals name, ID field equals ID, label equals projects. So this is, I'm not necessarily backtracking, because previously what I did is I attached the project to the planning item, right? So the planning item to the project, project to the planning item. Here I'm going to store that as an actual set of associated projects. So it's not quite the same. I would have had to change the entire design anyway. So the work I did to remove that piece is not lost. Should remove that for right a second, and this is projects. I mean, I have wasted some time, but not enough that I'm worried. Because for me, this is worth it, because I've learned something about what I want to do. I've got to ask the right questions, and yeah. Project is not sure I want that, but we'll find out. I have to think about that being that. So that's just so it wires up properly. So element implicitly has any type, because index expression is not of type number. That's the HTML is breaking on that one. Selected That's not going to matter right this second. You little bugger. Okay. We're just not going to render a control. That's awesome. If source. Oh, because source is not set. Let's see. Source equals. I don't have the data, so this is going to be hard. Yeah, let's do that. That should work. There you go. Okay. So there's project 1, project 2, project 3. Now they're not going to show the check mark because the it doesn't know that they've been selected in here. So click select. If selected equals item, or so now this is selected item, and then we create a method in here because we have to do the array lookup. I gotta go through this and so it's default public. I prefer seeing that, but I'm not being very consistent here. So item any that'll do. So that is intended to do that and that. There we go. There's project 1 and project 2 selected. We can then change this to selected. So we can go here. Let's say select projects. That's interesting that the ID aligns with the actual name there. It conflicted. And then just do I don't think I did selected, but it's fine. So then why aren't you outputting that? So it should be. So we add the planning item, we take the value of the thing. So do we do, instead of doing that, do we do projects.value? Pipe to JSON. There you go. So we have the selected projects. That clears it. That clears it. Okay. So this will be optional. Um, making progress. Making progress. So this isn't required. Assigned user is not required because you can put it anywhere. I'm going to take a very quick break. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Two dogs that are difficult. Okay. Sorry, I had to send a text. Vinny, hello. How you doing? Sorry, I didn't see the message up there. Hope you're well. Oh, Zeus. How are things? Okay, so projects. Okay, so assigning projects. Projects is this dot projects, and then ultimately we're going to have to send those through. But now I don't have the data structure on the server side to even tackle that, so this is going to be challenging. So previously, I passed up a project and attached a planning item to a project. Mr. Jones, g'day. How you doing? I just find it easy to say Mr. Jones than most people would just say your entire name. How's it going? That always feels very strange to say people's at, like, I know BBB does it a bit, and Rambling Geek sometimes. It's I mean, it is in your name, so. Although yeah, the same way I've got TBD, you've got CMJ, right? So, yes, that just dawned on me as well. I'm sure I've figured that out before, but all of a sudden I'm thinking about, oh, yeah, you have your name, then your name. I'm awake. It's fine. So what I'm trying to do right this second is figure out a multi-select for projects. So that will be this control instead of hello world. This is going to be selected prepare selected label. We'll just make that a method for a second because ultimately that's going to be prepare label if selected dot if this. Yeah, when I registered my email was already taken, so the initials prefix it and then it stuck when I had to start picking usernames for things. Yeah, it's amazing how it's kind of interesting how those things come around, right? Like sometimes you just pick something randomly and it just sticks. this.selected length, return this.label, otherwise return. Yeah, that'll do. That's breaking. Oh, because I shut this side down. You kind of need the server to be running when you want data. It does help. Okay, so go here. That says projects. We assign project 1 and project 3. As the name suggests, there is nothing temporary about a temporary fix solution. Absolutely. Projects, project 1, project 3. Okay. So that's allowed me to select multiple projects. Now, unchecking them is the other challenge. There's a slight bug. So let's go and select. So this would be. Oh, really? No Copilot? Let's see how good it is if the item isn't already selected. There you go. Or is it? There's nothing more permanent than a temporary solution. Either way, you get the idea. That should be something that is repeated when you are working on code. Like, I'll just do this for now, right? I'm in a similar boat, right? I'm trying to build the best of what I know I need without thinking, oh, I'll just do that later. I'll just do that later. For right now, I was like, oh, well, I could just put the tags on here and it'd be fine. There you go. So now you can select 1, select 2, 1, select 2, select all 3, clear them out. Project 3, project 1, project 3, project 3, project 2. So, yeah. I'm sure I've seen comments of this is a temporary fix and think they are years old comments. Oh, yeah. Yep. I have seen very recently. Something like that. So, I mean, it's only 8 years. Is the memory leak still there? Okay, so we have multi-select working generally. That takes the components. That's great. Let's remove that chip component. It doesn't do us any good to have that sat around. It's not really helpful right now. So the design decision here is, and yes, we have no idea what this method does, but if it breaks, we remove it. I wish I could say we hadn't seen those sorts of things. The design decision here is kind of back to where I started almost. The reality is, when you're trying to create a planning item, the product team knows what projects they think it's attached to, right? So it could span multiple, it could span one. Making these actual tags doesn't really aid in usability though, because I need it. It's it's not general tags I need to do. Like it, yes, I will probably introduce the ability for them to tag or whatever the word is, kind of attribute things to it afterwards. But the projects that it's associated with do actually matter, and it is more than one project potentially, right? So limiting to one project does not actually aid. Being able to say, hey, it's attached to these projects is actually where I want to go. So yes, I've gone a long way around for what has essentially been 2 weeks worth of work. Well, you know, we're talking like 10 hours worth of work ultimately. But yeah, so that's that. This should how do you order? Start. Can I order? Map. Sort. A. It doesn't really matter there. A, B. Does that actually work? Locale compare. So project 2, project 1, project 1, project 3, project 1. Nice. Cool. So that'll keep the ordering. Just visually, that makes more sense, right? You're not really going to care here, but yeah. So let's take that. So now I've got combo bots multi-select. And it's not perfect, but it'll work. Add multi-select combo bots with sorted labels. That could be a mode you put on there, right? Because you don't always need to do that. Okay, this one. Removed. Yeah, that needs to be the label. Combo box control. And then oh dang. I'm terrible. Oh. Why did I not make a branch? No, not that one. Not that one. This one. Planning item may not fit. Attached projects as tags to planning items. So this changes again the scope. Now, if you were doing this for real, right, and this story was actually planned and put out there, and then you decided, no. The reality, what happens is you stick it all back in the queue and say, no, let's talk about this in more depth. I don't really feel the need to kind of be more officious with this because it's a project I need to move forward, and I'm not going to benefit myself by doing that. A single planning item may not fit neatly into a single project, and from a product management perspective, it's not it's more of a label. That being said, product management, being able to attach the planning item to projects does give them the ability we should be able to select 0 to how do you say this? How do you normally say this? And so I'm saying one or more projects should be able to optionally, there we go, able to optionally select one or more projects to attach item 2. Use case. I'm a product manager working on a feature that has operations, and is that giving me AI fill in then? Development pieces, requirements. I don't know as a PM what fits best in stories, but I do know it's in planning, spans both projects. So again, it's more a labeling exercise from the planning side. They don't need to say, they're not dictating, yes, this goes to that project and this goes to that project to this phase, right? They know that it affects those projects. And a product manager might be on one team only, right? But it doesn't mean that there's no other requirements external to them. So if they're building a story and the work is, hey, we need to achieve this screen, and yeah, it's the team that they're on, but also we need to send emails, or we need to a new Kafka server or something like that, right? There's extra requirements that go with the planning of this, and the group can decide whether they break them out as separate stories and they go to different projects, or they are one story and it has multiple requirements. So that's what I'm aiming towards, is more flexibility in how you build these, but also then association and knowledge that they all stem from the same thing. So from a planning perspective, these could be quite large and not necessarily single stories, but from the person planning, they don't have to worry about the stories. They have to worry about what they want to achieve. And ultimately we'll show, hey, these stories were created by the way. And again, you'll be able to navigate through the system. So it's very much driven, this part is very much driven at exploring and pulling apart the requirements. So yeah, this is necessary. Now I have an issue though, because I just did 2 commits against the wrong branch. So I need to undo commits, on stage commits. I believe it's just git reset. Unstage my files. Yeah, so I go here. Where is all this stored? open terminal, git status, git reset soft head 2. Git reset head. No. Git reset head. This does a mixed reset. It knows git. The things you don't often do. So I want to just unstage the commits so I can then check out the new branch and then attach the commits to the new branch. For the purpose of this, it's not the end of the world if I don't achieve this, but unstaging a stage file with git restore. Git restore instead of git. Dang it, git. Git in what version am I on? 2.4.1. Git 223 introduced git restore, basically an alternative to git reset. Git reset head. -- soft. Right, so git reset head. Ambiguous argument. Ambiguous argument. Git reset head. There we go. Git reset head. That'll help you. Git log. There you go. Again, I just don't do that very frequently, so it's, yeah. Okay, so that looks more like what I did before. So now let's check out new branch, feature. Thank you for that, Mr. Jones, by the way. T75. T75. Attach multiple projects to Okay. Right. Now, yeah, they're all reset back to where they were. So, combo well selected. Add. That's interesting. This tool doesn't nest them unless I've got a mode turned on. View options, there we go. Group builders. Okay, there we go. I didn't realize I turned that on the other one, but this I prefer the layout for. Add, remove imports. Correct. Reader label. Rumble box. If I start chasing down every soul in problem, I'm going to be in trouble. So, yeah. Create new control based off of combo box for multi-select. Provides. I don't need to. I need to go into detail. No one's reading these notes enough to know, and I'm not building releases off this. So, I don't like that it doesn't clear that box out by default. Add. Ooh. I did not know that was an option. We might be doing that. Oh, this is an offer running test. Oh, that's sad. That'd be awesome if I could run unit tests before I do a push. Add project selection to add planning item. So that's not wired up. There's nothing. There's no pieces there wired up to send that up to the server right now. But the server side is going to need significant change to support this. So this is a little bit more difficult in terms of how I'm collecting it. So previously I added a project ID field to the planning item. It was attached. Now I'm going to have to create a new table, and that will be planning item projects. There's something that does that for JS, I think. I can't recall the name now, but it's something like Husky. I think I did that. I'll have a look in a second. I'm sure one of our team had implemented something like that on a React app. That would be pretty cool. I mean, being able to run, if I can get into the testing side of the client, if I can make it automate running tests before I do commits, that'd be super powerful. That's a nice feature of WebStorm. I mean, not that they've got many tests there right now on the client side, but if I could do that on the server side, on this side of things, on the writer side, that'd be even better. Huh. I have to commit upload files to. So you could do a deploy. Bob. That's pretty cool. I don't want to do this because if I do a reformat, rearrange, and optimize, I could make a bunch of changes. I mean, is that really bad? From a consistency perspective, that would be pretty useful. It'd just be scary the first couple of times. Yeah. Okay. Disclosure, I haven't read through fully. Appreciate the link. Medium. Please pay to read more. Git hooks. Yeah, so using hooks. Yeah, pre-commit hooks. Okay, that's what it is. That's really powerful. Run unit test before every commit with pre-commit hook. Huh. I've tinkered with pre-commit hooks before, but never succeeded. But it might be something I want to do, especially when it comes time for deployment. I'm glad I found another rabbit hole for you. I mean, again, I'm doing this dev on stream to try and highlight all the challenges that come with software development, right? It's the nature of the beast. My hopes prevents anyone else let me pushing changes. Also, hi. Yo, Snammel, how are you doing? Good day. Yeah, another thing to add to the list of things to look at. It's funny, the bigger the project gets, the more I'm like, I should take the time to do certain things and, stabilize certain things and also figure out certain things before I get too far ahead, because they're going to become harder the more I do. I'm so sad. SoundCloud integration shader toy is broken. Huh. That a visualizer. SoundCloud? I know what SoundCloud is. Is that visualizer the shader toy? Yeah, so the bigger the project gets, the harder it gets to do some of the things that I want to do, because the more intimidating setting them up is. Deployment is something that I don't have an idea of where I want to deploy this just yet. It was Husky. Okay. Thank you for the link. Fancy music to the show. Okay, cool. But it's broken. Oh. So you have to just do cool shaders in silence. It improves it more. Woof. Modern native Git hooks made easy. Core.hooks path supports and more. Does that? Well, the integration is broken. Oh. No integration there. So, okay, let me go back there and actually understand more what Husky actually is. I love splash screens, but let's go. Husky announces your commits. Install, save, so it's an npm install. Unit command simplifies setting up Husky in a project, creates a pre-commit script in Husky and updates a prepare script in the package. So I'd add it into my actual project, into my Angular project here. Adding a new hook. Hmm. Cool. Might be worth doing. But, like deployment and stuff, right? I don't have a need for deploying. Well, obviously I will have a need for deploying this, but like, how much time do I spend on the deployment aspect right this second, or to just keep building up this massive application without any real consideration? That's your weekend sorted then. My weekend is hopefully going to be playing Sins of the Solar Empire 2 with a friend, and very little else. um, Yeah, I mean, I've got things like integration testing, deployment, all these sorts of challenges. Did you get 3DO tested? Yes, I did, and I got an S-video cable for it as well, just so I could. And I tested that this morning as well, so works perfectly. Yeah, I got. I don't think I did too bad actually because it was a FC1, and I got 5 games. I got Dragon's Lair, Jurassic Park, in boxes, not decent, but um, and then Starblade, Out of This World, and can't remember the 5th one. And the console for like $300. Those games will go for like 30 or 40, the box ones. So if I want to make some money back, I can do. I didn't do too bad. And the ODE works great. That is it's an expensive investment, but it's a good investment. So, although I do have to put an SD card in because the USB stick I've got in there is pretty slow. How you doing, Trap? Okay, so data design now. Data. So the planning item's going to come in. The planning item's going to have a list of parameters. So this project identifier now is not this. It's going to be a array of project identifiers. Got to get 2 more. Nice. When I got the console, I realized that again he didn't give me the composite cables, and I've just had a box of cables down here for the longest time, and I start pulling all the cables out. I'm like, really? I've got no composite cables, so I kind of had to jam some together, like, and so it just finally got me that the cabling was too much of a mess. So I got a load of containers. So another weekend project before I get to game will be to actually go through and sort all the cables out finally and put, because I've got enough HDMI cables and power cables to keep me busy for a long time. I don't know how I managed to collect all those as well. Like, I haven't had 50 computers, but I seem to have 50 power cables. I haven't definitely not had that many monitors. I I put return fire on this morning when I was testing the S-video cable, and I could have happily sat and played return fire for a couple of years, for a couple of days. Sorry, years. I haven't played it in a long time, but I've never played it on 3DO. I only ever played it on PlayStation. Just the music and stuff was awesome. I don't know what the music is. Is this because I didn't play it with audio? Yeah. But yeah, it's a fantastic game, Return Fire. Last year when I moved, I got rid of a ton of old RCA and coax cables. Yeah, I really should go through and just trim them down as well. I shouldn't just put them in new tubs, because I'm just, I'm not going to need 50 different cables for, I've got enough HDMI cables to keep me busy for a long time. But yeah. So, but yeah, the 3DO works nice. I've been reading you can replace the fan in that with a not to a fan if you need to. Assuming it's the one with the fan, because one of them's passive and one of them's active, right? I can't remember which one this one is. Now I'm thinking about it. Keep on with the best ones. Yeah. Like, I've got some good phono cables, the coax stuff, and some really good HDMI cables and stuff. But yeah, I've got a lot of I got a lot of cables to get rid of. And actually, I learned not to throw away the cables that come with the monitors, because the Mac is very temperamental about the cabling. So the cable that came with this monitor, if I don't use it, the Mac won't display to the screen. So yeah, so the Mac is very temperamental on which HDMI cables it uses, which is fun. Project identifier. So yeah, I'm going to pass that up. Then I'm going to pass that down there. So ultimately, and this will be this for now, we're going to need what is this? It's not planning item projects. Associated projects. So planning item doesn't need to know about projects specifically. Assign. Table naming is even harder, because table names you're often thinking about keeping kind of succinct rather than naming them appropriately. But I don't want to infer a necessary relationship here by the table schema. So this isn't a required table or a required record. These are records that can be attached. And it's actually the reverse. The planning item the old COBOL DB certainly have it succinct. Tables are named 4 letters only. Ooh. When I began my career, I was working in Business Basic, and data access in that was kind of funky. It wasn't a database. And then I did, what was it? I think it might be 4GL. Like, you name we've got a 4th generation programming language. What would we call it? Let's just call it 4GL. They're in Norwegian too. Then each column is prefixed with a table name, which I personally like as an idea. Okay. No. So when I was early in my career, I was working in Business Basic, and they had some sort of weird data. So the data schema to access the data and stuff, you kind of had to get like handles to the data or whatever, and it had some sort of limitation on the size of the naming, etc. This kind of reminded me. Then I worked on. We bought another company, and I worked with the designer of their system to learn all about their system so that they could. This was the worst part. This is the worst part early on in my career. I had to work with him for several months, sat in rooms and offices, learning about the system for them to lay him off so that I could take over what was the migration to our system. Which, ugh. F sharp is -3 GFPL. But it was like 4G. I want to say 4GL, but I don't remember it. But it was more database based than it was like basic, like we were using, and we had to transition everything over. So I worked on that piece. I want to say 4GL. Yeah. Oh wow, it's 906. Okay, so this table name is going to matter, right? Planning items. So this is attaching, when you create a planning item, you're not assigning it to these projects, you're labeling it with these projects, right? You're not saying these projects are tightly coupled. This isn't going to produce any data that links the planning item to the projects in any firm way. This is just labels. This is just labels. Yeah. So I'll name that something like planning item project labels or something like that, because it is. I could store it as a column still, but I don't like the idea of string concatenating IDs and stuff into columns. It's messy, and the querying. I mean, the querying side on the data side doesn't really matter, right? So the storage doesn't really matter as much on this side of things, because this is just the write system. The read system is where it would matter, right? So more denormalization, normalization, etc. Because lambda calculus is perfection, but in practical, in order to make functional programming more practical, it has to be ruined. Has to be ruined. Lisp is the first ruination of functional programming, not a widely accepted idea. S# is fine for me. If the customer has a preference, they get what they want. I once removed my own work. I thought I would get to do something else. When I was done, I got an email from management. Big meeting tomorrow. Everybody got to be there. Yes, I got laid off. Oh. F# is my favorite .NET language. F#'s interesting. Grumpy took me through some F# stuff, and I can't see how I would apply it, so I've never tried. Because it's all .NET, there's no performance benefit, just readability changes. So to Reggie's point, right? If the customer asks for the language, if the customer asks for F#, then that's what they get, right? If the team working on it is happier being in that functional style, then that's perfectly fine. My biggest challenge would be writing F#. I would be trained to apply some of the things I do in C#, and that will show through strongly, right? F# has some powerful inlining mechanism that allows certain abstractions to be more performant. Huh. But in general, it all comes down to .NET anyway. So how they build the IL, yeah. But yeah, it's I don't think I'll be picking up F# to do any active. One of the things I have considered is demonstrating, because of the size of this system, right? Demonstrating potentially, okay, there are other things that you might want to do, and you could use different technologies to integrate, and here's how you might how it benefits you to be able to do this. Because obviously with a distributed system, if I've got a language that supports Kafka, I can, and pretty much everything will because of the C libraries, I can go and consume data into any system I want and process it in any way I want, right? And that's one of the benefits of design like this, is I have greater flexibility without modifying core components of the system. F# generics more powerful than .NET. Some sense less powerful. Contra and covariance not supported. I mean, honestly, I could count on one finger, I think, how many times any explicit definition has been added in this code so far as to those things. Yeah, but you know, yeah, so I'm like explicitly not specifying it most of the time. It's just there. The fun part of F# is to invoke, say, Outlook for email. F# is not Haskell or OCaml. Yeah. But like, again, from a demonstration perspective, being able to say, okay, well, now I want to do some analysis on data, or want to do something in a language that is better set up for doing that, then can I, languages that have so the open source community offers Kafka client functionality, Erlang, Groovy, Haskell, Kotlin, Lua, Node, OCaml, PHP, Ruby, Rust, TCL, Swift, right? So picking another one of those languages out for what it's best at and being able to process the data, and demonstrate that just because you've got a .NET Core application doesn't mean, and I mean the main application being .NET, not .NET Core, just because you've got a core.NET application doesn't mean that you can't use other languages. And it's one of the benefits of using something like Kafka, where I can distribute that data, move things around, and have them processed differently, but still be part of the major system. The biggest feature of F#, I think, for most .NET is the powerful JavaScript transpilers. So people were programming F# on the web front end for years before WASM. No, you won't be permitted to post the link, I'm afraid, Reg. There is Discord if you want to post in there. But by default, no. Sorry. Yeah, the Discord is linked below in the panels if you want to share the link. And you might be able to whisper me. I don't know if that's not prevented, I don't think. I think, however, MS are now doing a pretty good job deprecating VB and F#. More and more features are kind of dependent on source gens. Nobody cares about providing one for VB and F#. Yeah, it is interesting that they started off. So if you look back at the beginning, Kafunk. Nice. Archived. Jet.com. Huh. Interesting that an organization like that did that. That's pretty cool. Kafka PTSD setting. If someone says zookeeper, I'll crawl into fetal position. Oh, no. Be right back. Well, you uncrawl. That's cool though. I mean, yeah, I think it's interesting that Microsoft started .NET way back. They had Visual J# in the beginning. They tried the Java variant, right, to bring people on board. VB.NET was a way to migrate people who were working in VB6 and move them over into the .NET world. But VB kind of got its own love. The F# stuff, I'm surprised that it's going away, or seeing less and less love. But it's like .NET, most people think C#. Java is Java, right? The language is Java. Obviously, you've got Scala and other variants or supersets of it, but they still work on top of Java. They're community created or whatever. And I think that might be what Microsoft might rely upon, right? People doing .NET implementations themselves, and maintaining them. You know, um, oh, so Jet.com moved away to, right. In JVM, there's more living languages than on .NET, I think. Java, Kotlin, Scala, and Clojure are all kind of vibrant. True. Yeah. But Java Java is the core, right? Um, so when you think Java, you're really thinking JVM, and the language at the same time. Yeah. Hey, Grumpy. How you doing? I'm chatting way too long today. I should be finishing this stream up. My employer would not be happy. Microsoft got sued over using Visual J Sharp. That's why they dropped it. Yeah, I just remember it being around in the beginning. Good job yourself, my Google speaker. You have me on speakers? Those old ears not good for having your headphones on. How you doing, Grumpy? Stream long enough and your employee will stop bothering you. Yeah. I just need to figure out how to make some money doing streaming, right? No, yeah. Hey, Grumpy, how you doing? Go ahead to answer. Oh, nice. You... Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Okay, Grumpy's living in a high life thanks to all the Twitch primes. Oh, dear. Okay, so we need to a wrapped Lambo for Twitch streamers. Nice. We need to go raid out. Today I'm going to take you to full bots. Well, C# Fritz is doing more .NET stuff, and being that I have been doing .NET, I wore it to my screening of the Fall Guy. You went and watched that? No. Are you sure? Did they go anywhere near the original content? Because it looked like it in the trailers, and I was a big fan of that. You're welcome, Mr. Jones. I'm going to raid over to C# Fritz. He's doing Aspire and microservices. It seems on point. I would love to stay and hang out and watch some and learn some about Aspire, but I have to go and do things. So I will say goodbye for now. I'll be back tomorrow. They had a cameo by $6 Million Man. Nice. Colt Seavers. That was a good show. I've got that. I was watching that not too long ago. I grew up with it. So anyway, have a great rest of the day, all. I'm gonna go raid Fritz, and I'll see you again soon. We're building modular monoliths now. Cool. Take care, all.